Okay, good morning everyone, and welcome back to another Zoom presentation of TEHILLIM. I want to just mention one thing in terms of being live and in person, and I'm not going to bother you anymore until after Pesach. As the vaccines are coming in and people, Baruch Hashem, are getting vaccinated and feeling good and healthy and strong, as the spike has come way down here in Los Angeles, Baruch Hashem, and we're trying to get back to some type of normalcy in our Yiddishkeit, in our living, in our learning, in our davening, and all of the above, I would like to humbly suggest that we put in our minds that after Pesach, it's a long time, it's a month until Pesach, and then it's 2 weeks then it's a week, 9 days of Pesach, and then we don't start until a few days afterwards. So we're talking about 6 weeks away right now. After 6 weeks or so, maybe even a little bit more, I suggest, not even humbly suggest, but I strongly suggest over here, that we consider making the bold move of returning to the in-person learning. Again, we'll keep Zoom as an option for those that are completely opposed to being in a room and being in learning in front of each other. But for those of you that can brave the storm and weather the streets of Los Angeles and make it in for in-person, let's try to keep in mind, Pesach is around the corner. After Pesach, anyway, we take off at least a few days to a week. So we're talking about 6 to 7 weeks away that we should focus in and we should have in our mind that we'll get back together and we'll learn in person. I won't bother you between now and Pesach about coming. I might drop the seeds every once in a while about coming after Pesach, but I'm not even going to ask. Don't come. If you come, the door will be locked. No, the door will not be locked. You can still come in if you want. However, let's try to make it a priority that after Pesach is over, we try to get back to normal. Hashem is waiting for us to get back to normal. It's going to be the longer that we wait, the harder it's going to be. And Be'ez Hashem, that'll be a schus for all of us. Okay, we mentioned last week in this particular Tehillim, Lamed Vav 36, that it's broken up into two distinct parts. Number one, the first half of the Tehillim is describing Dovid HaMelech's challenges with his enemies, the Rishoyim, the wicked people of this world, and that their downfall and what is so horrific and so detrimental and dangerous about them is their total immersion in the Yetzer HaRa, which is this evil inclination which haunts a person from the day that he is born till the day that he dies. It's always there, always around, always trying to get a person to do the wrong things. And therefore the Rishoyim, the people that are wicked, that means that they basically sold out to the Yetzer HaRa. They're completely entrenched in his commands and his wishes and his desires, and it is very hard for them to do anything besides that. Dovid HaMelech is a tzaddik, he's a righteous person, so he doesn't fall for the tricks and the smoke screen of the Yetzer HaRa over there. So therefore he's putting down the life of the Rishoyim, of the wicked, and he is criticizing those who end up making it their life's mission to bow down to the Yetzer HaRa and all of his tricks. Today's shir is going to be the second half of this Tehillim, which obviously is Dovid HaMelech teaching us how it is that he didn't fall prey to his enemies, how it is that he did not fall into the traps of the Yetzer HaRa, and the higher level in which the righteous, or really anybody who is striving for spiritual greatness, is going to have to live in constantly and eventually achieve those goals, those places where they would like to be. I want to point out one idea in this study that we have over here of the Yetzer HaRa. We translate loosely every time that we mention the Yetzer HaRa, the evil inclination. We call the Yetzer HaRa the evil inclination. We have another Yetzer as well that we know. It's called the Yetzer HaTov, which is the good inclination. And these two diametrical forces that are inside of a person, innately embedded inside of our consciousness and our subconsciousness, is always that struggle between making a decision in which the Yetzer HaRa, the evil inclination, is trying to pull me in his direction, or the Yetzer HaTov, the good inclination, which is really related to myself. It is the spiritual aspect of who I am. It is linked into my neshama. It's linked into the kedusha, the holiness of myself, and that's trying to pull me into the other direction. But Yetzer, which again the loose English translation being inclination, that's not really the meaning of the word Yetzer. We make a bracha every day when we wake up in the morning, and every time that we use the restroom, we make the bracha Asher Yatzar, right? Asher Yatzar Asa Adam. We make a bracha Asher Yatzar, that you are Kodesh Baruch Hu. Yatzar is the same word as Yetzer. Yatzar is you fashioned the man, you formed the man. HaKadosh Baruch Hu, on one hand, is a Bairei Olam, he's a creator of the universe, but he's also a Yetzer Breishis, he's also the former and the shaper and fashioner of Breishis, of the creation of the world. He created everything, Yesh Ma'ayin, something from nothing, and then he takes all of that material that he made in the world already, and he shapes and he fashions and he forms the rest of the world the way it's going to look as we see it in front of us. So Yetzer is not really an inclination. Yetzer is a language of Yatzar, of Yetzer, and a Yetzer is someone that is shaping and fashioning this world. So the Yetzer HaRa, and more than that, the Gemara tells us that in Brachas, the Gemara tells that HaKadosh Baruch Hu is a Tzayer. Tzadi Yud Yud Reish, the same word Yetzer, the same letters, the same Shorish. HaKadosh Baruch Hu is a painter. He paints this beautiful tapestry in this world, this masterpiece that he's made called planet Earth, and every single human being that falls inside of this world. And Klal Yisrael certainly is at the center of his drawing, of his painting. And HaKadosh Baruch Hu, he's Mitzayer, he paints, he brings the colors, he brings the life, he brings the imagery to this world. HaKadosh Baruch Hu is a Yetzer, he's a shaper, a fashioner. He forms things, and he's a Mitzayer, he's a painter. He paints in all those shapes and all those forms. He gives it the color, he gives it the life that is here in this world. The Yetzer HaRa is not an evil inclination. That's what we call it, but that's the loose translation into English. But the Yetzer HaRa is related to this word of Yetzer, of a shaper and a fashioner. It shapes and it forms. The Yetzer HaRa shapes and forms the person. As we pointed out many times over the years, would it not be for the Yetzer HaRa that a person has in their life, would they not have this constant struggle where they have to go against the nature of the Yetzer HaRa, and they have to find the Yetzer, which is also going to be the Yetzer HaTov, is also that which shapes and fashions and forms and paints and develops, and for that person, if they wouldn't find that, they would never become anything. The only way that I could grow, and the only way that I can change, and the only way that I can be elevated in this world, the only way that I can open up my mind to see things in a proper light, is if there is that constant struggle that is going on between the Yetzer HaRa, which is not the evil inclination, but the evil shaper and former of a person's life, or the one that is painting the imagery. That's what the Yetzer HaRa does. He's like a painter. He comes along and he creates images in a person's mind. So many illusions the Yetzer HaRa tries to fool us into. A person could sit in one place all day long, and their mind could be all over the world. And they could have imagery, and they could have illusions, and they could have demyonis, they could have fantasy world that they are in, and they're actually seeing everything taking place in their mind, sometimes in real time, like it's live. But it's just imagery that the Yetzer HaRa uses to try to fool a person and convince a person that they should do something that they don't really want to do. And therefore this Yetzer HaRa, this evil, not inclination, but this evil painter, this evil thing that shapes and it forms and it fashions in front of us a life. So that is coming, and it's creating this world, it's creating this reality for us, that if you're going to give in to the inclinations that are there of the Yetzer HaRa, if you are going to give in, you're going to fall for the smokescreen of the pictures, of the imagery that it paints for us. If we are going to stumble into the life that the Yetzer HaRa would like us to live, then it's doomsday for the person. They're going to be finished because they're going to get shaped and fashioned by the grip of the Yetzer HaRa. But if a person will go to the other side of their life, which is the Yetzer HaTov, which is the good inclination, which shapes and forms and paints and brings imagery to the person's life of the good things, of the positive things that are out there, so then that person is going to be able to elevate themselves over the devices of the Yetzer HaRa. They will use the imagery that the Yetzer HaTov gives to them, which is positive and which is empowering and which is going to make them greater. And then they will be able to override that negative force which is defined and is labeled as the Yetzer HaRa. The Rishoyim, the wicked people of the world, the wicked people that Dovid HaMelech is fighting against, the enemies that try to destroy Dovid HaMelech's life constantly, they are people that are enraptured, totally caught up in the Yetzer HaRa, in this evil force that is in the world, and therefore they just keep falling again and again and doing horrible, terrible things, trying to take out their wrath against the holiest man in the world. It's not going to work. Just as we know that all of the enemies of the Jewish people, they have always fallen by the wayside, so too any of the enemies of the greatest people of Klal Yisrael, they have fallen by the wayside. Dovid HaMelech in the end of the day will reign supreme. His Tehillim will be on the lips of the Jewish people for thousands of years. Those enemies who tried to destroy him, they're nowhere to be found, nor are their offspring doing anything that is anything valuable in the world anymore. And therefore, as much as they try, as much as the Yetzer HaRa gets in there, into the kishkas of those people, and it gets them, it dupes them time and time again, it will not endure. Only the Yetzer HaTov, that which is the positive, that which is connected to the neshama, that which is connected to the beautiful source of purity of our souls, which really craves to be close to Hashem, that's the only thing that is going to exist on a constant, eternal basis. Yetzer HaRa, at the end of the day, as we know, the Gemara tells us, when Mashiach will come, HaKadosh Baruch Hu, one of the things that he's going to do so kindly is that he's going to shech the Yetzer HaRa. It will not last and endure forever, but the Yetzer Tov and the neshamas of Klal Yisrael, those will endure la'olam va'ed, forever and ever eternally. Now that being said, what the next half of this Tehillim is going to focus in on is how a person capitalizes and seizes the opportunities that are positive in their life, that they can do what is Tov be'enei Hashem, they can do what is right in the eyes of Hashem. So he writes like this, and when Pasuk Vav number 6, Hashem be'ashamayim chazdecha, HaKadosh Baruch Hu, in the heavens is chazdecha, emunascha ad shechakim, and your guiding faith reaches until the clouds. So in the heavens is chesed, is your kindness, and your faith, not my faith, not the faith of Klal Yisrael, the emunah of the Jewish people. However, your emunasecha, your faith, HaKadosh Baruch Hu, that is guiding, and it reaches, that guiding faith will reach until the clouds. So what are we talking about over here? So Rav Hirsch writes the following idea, and it's going to be the strain, I don't know if it's a strain, but it's going to be the train of consciousness in Rav Hirsch over here that is going to run throughout this particular Tehillim. And he writes the following words, and that is that HaKadosh Baruch Hu is the one, the ruler, the master of the universe, Hashem, Yud Kei Vav Kei. He trains man for his moral perfection, and thus that training is really for the future salvation of the person. That means that, yes, it is true that a person is going to endure things in this world that perhaps they wish would not come their way. A person is going to go through trials and tribulations and challenges. It's true, guaranteed. There's no escape, says Dovid HaMelech, as we described many times. But what a person has to keep in mind, and this only the mind of the tzaddikim can keep this in mind, is that all that we will endure, all that we will go through in our lives, all of the nisyonos hachayim, the challenges of life, all of that is just because HaKadosh Baruch Hu is preparing us for something better, bigger, and greater. A Rasha looks at the things that are coming his way, and he gets overwhelmed, and he gets upset, and he kicks off HaKadosh Baruch Hu and the world that he has planned of Hashgacha Pratis. But the righteous tzaddikim, Dovid HaMelech now is speaking in that world, they will see, they will embrace, and they will realize Hashem b'Hashamayim chazdecha, whatever is coming down from the Shemayim, from the heavens, it's all chazdecha, it is all your kindness, HaKadosh Baruch Hu. We know that mipiu lo teitzei ra'is, from the mouth of Hashem comes no bad, it's all good. All is git, as they say, everything is good from the Rebbeinu Shalom. As we mentioned 1,000 times, Kol Di'av Rachman L'Tavavid, everything Hashem does, it's all good. Where is it coming from? It's not chance. It didn't happen by mistake. It's in Shemayim, in the heavens. HaKadosh Baruch Hu is being mashkiach. He's watching over. He's planning. He's shaping. He's forming. He's guiding a person's life. And therefore, it's all chazdecha. It's all chesed. It's all kindness. But the way in which I'm going to be able to believe that and live my life accordingly is emunascha ad shechakim, because your faithfulness, HaKadosh Baruch Hu, is going to be until the clouds. Now, what's the difference between the Shemayim, the heavens, and the clouds? We shall see Be'ez Hashem in this beautiful explanation, as Rav Hirsch is going to say. So he writes like this, that in the Shemayim, in the heavens, the heavenly bodies and the orbits that are over there, they never deviate, they never change. There is a plan. There is a mission that HaKadosh Baruch Hu has brought them all into their order. La yischu belechtan, like it says in Yecheskel, which means that they never deviate from the orbits that they are assigned to. It's only down here, in the earthly world, which is maintained by mankind, where a person is possibly going to deviate and make mistakes and divert themselves from the path that they are to be on. There's a large difference between that which goes on in Shemayim, in the heavens, and that which takes place down here in this earth. Although the heavens are impressive, they're gigantic, the expanse is enormous, it looks infinite to the naked eye. You might think that the heavens are reign supreme over that which is down here. Nevertheless, HaKadosh Baruch Hu made a world, and in the world He planted man, and inside of man He planted something called Bechira, called free will. And the free will is what makes us greater than every other creation that there is in the world. So even though that you will see man fail down here sometimes, you will see a person stumble and they will make grave errors and mistakes, all true. Nevertheless, HaKadosh Baruch Hu implanted inside of us this koyach HaBechira, this ability to have free choice and free will. And as a result of that, I can actually, when I make the right choices in my life, I could soar beyond and above the heavens themselves. And that's all because HaKadosh Baruch Hu is a munascha. He faithfully guides me through this world. Meaning, if a person will acknowledge the guidance that HaKadosh Baruch Hu is giving us, if a person will recognize the hashgacha that Hashem is laying in front of our lives, if a person will recognize that the truth of HaKadosh Baruch Hu is found inside of His Torah and His mitzvahs, and I decide to live my life according to such a lifestyle, and I recognize that that's what is supreme in this world, so then that emunascha, that faithfulness of the Rebbeinu Shalom, who is so dear to us, who watches over us, who cares for us, who tries to give us the opportunities to use our bechir in the right way, so then we are going to reach high up above where a person could imagine they're going to achieve. But, as he writes over here, the human creatures that are here on this world, they were given the choice to serve Hashem out of their own free will. It's a very major thing. And therefore they do have the possibility of deviating from the orbits of goodness and right in which Hashem takes pleasure. Just like in the heavens. Just like in the heavens, HaKadosh Baruch Hu has all the planets and they're running in great symmetry and precision. So down here in this world, HaKadosh Baruch Hu wants also that we should run with precision, However, because that He has blessed us with free will, He has endowed us with that opportunity and that chance, He leaves it up to us to do what's right, and He also leaves it up to us to make mistakes and to do that which is wrong as well. Of course, HaKadosh Baruch Hu truly desires when a person does the right thing. You think that Hashem is happy when people are making wrong decisions? Not happy with that. Thinking he said, well, I gave him free will, so that's his choice. I'm happy that he's using his free will. Does a parent rejoice when they see their child doing silly, foolish things? Does a parent get nachas when they see their child misbehaving and acting in a way that is egregious to the greatness of who that child could be? No, of course not. It pains the parent to no end. It's destructive to the child. So to HaKadosh Baruch Hu doesn't delight in Shemayim. Say, oh look, there's my Yid over there in the world. Look how he is doing horribly. He's speaking Lashon Hara. He's eating tray food. He doesn't keep Shabbos properly. He hurts people's feelings. Somebody asked him for a ride. He said, no, I'm too busy. I don't have time for you. And what did it mean too busy? He was just busy watching TikTok videos all day long. No, I'm so happy because he's using his free will, so I get such nachas. Hashem is not happy. It's part of the plan. The plan is that we have free will and we are entitled to do whatever we want in our lives. The danger of bechira, of free will, is that if we mess up in our choices, we can hurt ourselves and everybody else that is around us. And we can cause deviations that will end up making our life and the life of generations that will come after us crooked as can be. And therefore, says Rav Hirsch over here, unlike the Shemayim, unlike the heavens, which HaKadosh Baruch Hu runs in perfect precision all the time, the moon has no will, the sun has no will, the Mars, now 300 million miles away, do we care what's going on Mars? Does it matter that there's a rover on Mars right now trying to prepare us for life on planet Mars in 1 billion years? Does it really matter? HaKadosh Baruch Hu put us in the planet Earth. He put us down here. He gave us challenges here in this world. He gave us a life in this world. He gave us a reality in this world. That's what the Rebbeinu Shalom wants from us, to live our life here. Why are we worrying about Mars? No, but the world worries about Mars because we can't even handle what's going on in this world. How many people have been faced with challenges over the last year alone, challenges that it's so hard to understand and comprehend, difficulties to overcome, the nisyonos, the tribulations of life, very hard. So maybe it'll be easier on Mars. Maybe that's where a person will find respite from all the life that Hashem has given us. I imagine that there will be mishaps on Mars as well. Life is not going to be so easy on Mars. You might find Martians up there, who knows? Lamaisa, the Rav Hirsch is writing over here that Dovid HaMelech is saying that our strength comes in our bechira. And HaKadosh Baruch Hu, underneath the heavens in this world, He set everything up perfectly, with precision, the way that it should be. Now it's up to you. What are you going to do with the opportunities of bechira chafshis, of free will and choice that you have? How will you respond to this situation? What's your actions going to be? Now, if you make the right decisions, we're going to applaud you and we'll praise you, and HaKadosh Baruch Hu is going to bring down His malachim, His angels, and look at that person. They were in the midst of a challenge and they made the right decision. Look what they do down here in this world. However, at the same token, we are given the power to fail. We are given the opportunities to make mistakes. And if we do that, then we hurt ourselves, we damage our offspring, we damage the nation, the generation that will come from us, we damage the world around us. And therefore, says Rav Hirsch, men on earth are in need of divine training and discipline. And this is going to be an idea that he discusses over here, which is going to be chesed and emunah. Chesed is going to be HaKadosh Baruch Hu's kindness, trying to guide a person along in the right ways, where all the options are there that you could do the right thing. But then there's the emunah, not my own personal emunah. Of course, we have to have our emunah in HaKadosh Baruch Hu, the way that He runs the world, but it's emunascha, it's Hashem's emunah, His faithfulness to Klal Yisrael. and to the world that is around us over here, as we will see, that even if we get thrown off course, even if we stumble a little bit here over there, but since that HaKadosh Baruch Hu wants the world to endure, and He wants mankind to survive, and He wants Klal Yisrael to always be at that pinnacle, so then we trust in the faithfulness of HaKadosh Baruch Hu that He's not going to allow the world to hit a point where it's the point of no return, as we shall see. Now, says Rav Hirsch, he says that Rishayim, they simply don't understand over here why it is that sometimes the wicked people of the world, they have glamour, they have fame, they have fortune. Again, this is part of the challenges of free will. You come to shul on Shabbos. We spoke about it a little bit this week. Come to shul on Shabbos, and we're living in the post-Corona generation right now, or we're still within the Corona generation. So you come in. There's 20 men. Their faces are three-quarters covered by a mask. All you can see is their droopy eyes because they're half asleep when they come in. They're sitting 6 feet apart from each other. The davening is less than riveting at best. There's no cholent that's waiting for them because we're too afraid that maybe someone's going to take off the mask and eat a bite of cholent, and then the potato's going to get corona and it's going to pass this corona to somebody else. I'm sorry to make jokes of all these things, just trying to tell you what's going on over here. So they come in with masks. We sit far away from each other. Davening is half-hearted because we don't feel connected to one another, which is part of the davening experience. Part of the reason that we come to shul is in order that people should connect to each other while they are davening. Our voices should be singing in unison while we are davening. We are shuckling back and forth together at one. We start davening together, Shemona Esrei together. There's an achdus that takes place in the shul. But coronavirus has one of its masterful things is it destroys the achdus, the unity which is supposed to take place in shul. Everybody has to sit in a different place. People can't talk to each other so much. We're behind the mask and everything. Fine, we have no choice. Then there's no cholent, there's no social interaction, there's nothing. So a guy walks into the shul and he sees this dreary place. And everybody said, oh, the shul, Shabbos, it's great, it's incredible, fine, everything. But they see a dreary place over here. Then they go out on the streets and they're walking down Ventura Boulevard, Shabbos afternoon. It's a nice windy day over there, but the sun is shining, and suddenly this red Ferrari pulls up by the light. It's got this music that's blasting. There's a guy sitting in the driver's seat. He's got this blonde-haired something sitting in the other seat over there. And you look at this guy and say, this guy's got it all. He's got the car, he's got the music, he's got the supermodel, he's got the money, he's got the fame, he's a beautiful day, he's got the sun coming down. This guy has it all. What I got in shul? In shul, I have masks 6 feet away from each other. I don't have chola, not even a l'chaim. Says Rav Hirsch over here, the wicked people don't understand. You know why HaKadosh Baruch Hu made it that way? You know why Hashem made it look like when you walk out of shul after 2.5 hours of just making it through, that you're going to see that Ferrari over there in red with the blonde head and the guy there with the music. You know why you're going to see that? To challenge you. It's all there to challenge you to see, do you understand what is really important in this world, or you don't understand what's important in this world? Do you know that even going to shul in a mask and sitting 6 feet apart and not creating an achdus during davening, and it's hard to daven and it's hard to stay awake and it's hard not to feel grumpy, and when you're breathing in your breath all day long from the mask, and the rabbi spoke a little bit too long this week and you just want to go home because there's no kiddush and you're getting hungry. Do you know that in there, that is where you're going to get your greatness from? Not the car, not the music, not the sunroof or the convertible that is there. That's all the way that HaKadosh Baruch Hu brings about the smoke screen in this world to try to get a person to think, oh, that's what life is really all about. That's the Yetzer HaRa. That is the fashioning and the shaping, the painting that the Yetzer HaRa does in this world to try to show you, look how good life could be. So what happens to the Rishayim? The wicked decide, you know what? Why in the world would I want to be a tzaddik? Why in the world would I want a life of Dovid HaMelech? Why would I want to go to a shul that's so boring? Why would I want to go to a shiur that's just so boring and tells me I have to become a better person? Why would I want such a thing? I'd rather go on into the car. I'd rather go and watch the movies that tell me that life is just all about chivalry and fun and excitement and great things. I'd rather listen to all the political analysts over here are telling me that the world is coming to a place where basically everything goes. You can become part of that world as well, and you never have to feel guilty about anything. It says Rav Hirsch, all of this is because they just don't understand that HaKadosh Baruch Hu is putting everything in front of them, and then He is demanding of a person, now use your bechira, your free will, and pull yourself into the direction of making the right decisions and choices in your life. When a person is confronted with two conflicting worlds, two conflicting avenues of life, and one is so tantalizing and is so mesmerizing and the painting is so lifelike, and the other one is a little bit bland, it's a little bit dreary and drabby, colors are not so technicolor over there, and it doesn't look like it's so exciting, and then you have to make a decision. So like, what's the right thing? If I come Shakespeare and I eat, drink, and I be merry, for tomorrow I shall die? Or do I cling to these ideals that Dovid is teaching us over here, and that is that the meaning of life is not all of the exuberance that a person will feel in this world, but rather the meaning of life is when a person conquers the evil inclination or the evil shaper and fashioner. He conquers that which is trying to pull him in the wrong direction. That's the real meaning of life. That's the greatness of a human being. And therefore, Dovid HaMelech says, if you don't get it, you don't get it. And all of my enemies that have been piling up against me for all the decades and the years, they just don't get it. They think that money, fame, fortune, they think that the excitement of life, drinking, all the geschmack that's out there in the world, they think that's what life is all about. And therefore they continue to berate me, they continue to try to destroy me, they continue to chase after me. But I, Dovid HaMelech, I understand that all of that is just a test. I could also fall for the smoke screen. I could also fall for the illusion and the fantasy world that the Yetzer HaRa is painting in front of me. I could. But I know that there's something much more valuable, and that's called ruchniya, spiritual life. That's called a connection to my neshama. That's called the connection to HaKadosh Baruch Hu. That's called to a person that is imbued with Torah and with mitzvahs, a person that will be zeicha to a world to come. The Rishayim, for all that they are worth, maybe millions and billions of dollars, they will not merit a portion, a single portion in the world to come. And yet a Yid here in this world who is going to leave this world possibly in the red, he'll leave the world in debt, he'll have things or he'll leave the world with whatever's in his pocket over there. He'll just leave the world like that. Nevertheless, he accrued for himself in Shemayim, he accrued for himself a place that is so big and enormous in the world to come, that the biggest Russia, the biggest billionaire who made it on the front of Times of Forbes magazine as 10 richest men, he can't even come close. He's not even going to make it to the doorstep of the portion that a Yid has in the world to come waiting for them. And therefore, our job is to continually understand that there is a world called Shemayim, that HaKadosh Baruch Hu He's raining down on us chesed and mercy and kindness and all the good things. And we just have to be able to make sure that we see it in the right way. Now he writes a beautiful idea, and this idea is the following, that when the sun comes down to the earth, we don't get pure direct sunlight. We wouldn't be able to handle it. Rather, the light is dimmed and it's subdued before it reaches our planet. The sun is up there, it's coming down, besides the fact that it's traveling through all of these stratospheres. But on top of that, there's always clouds somewhere in the sky. You might not see them, but there's clouds everywhere somewhere in the sky. And the sun is always going through the clouds to come down here into this world. What is the mashal, what is the parable of that, says Rav Hirsch, because that's what it's referring to over here. You have the Shemayim, the heavens, and you have the clouds. And he says like this, in order for man to thrive, to prosper in ruchnius and spiritual growth, HaKadosh Baruch Hu's chesed is going to be modified by his emunah, by his faithfulness. What does that mean? This fatherly and guiding love that HaKadosh Baruch Hu has for this world. And he says that Amunah, this that Hashem is going to be faithful, it accompanies all of those who are still capable of profiting by such training and education, meaning those who have not sold out to the Yetzer HaRa yet, and those who are still trying to grow and do what's right in their tafkin, fulfilling their goals and their purpose in this world. So then they are able to recognize that the challenges of life that they are going to go through is the training grounds that will bring a person closer to the moral perfection that they are supposed to achieve. And how does that happen? It happens, as he writes, remember, there's the sunshine which is coming from Shemayim. That is the ultimate truth. But then there's clouds that get in the way, that really they diminish the shine and the bright and the luster of the sun. Which means that we are not in this world seeing HaKadosh Baruch Hu's light completely. It's always impaired by the clouds of the world. The clouds, he's writing, is the challenges that HaKadosh Baruch Hu sends in our life, which is going to remove and conceal HaKadosh Baruch Hu's ultimate greatness and grandeur and revelation. And therefore, those who will continue, even when the skies are cloudy, they will continue to be able to recognize the guiding faith of HaKadosh Baruch Hu. And therefore, when the Yetzer HaRa and the Yetzer Tov are battling with each other, they will use their mechira, their free will, to do what is right. So then they are the ones that will be elevated all the way up into the heavens, to the heavens over there, to be the beneficiaries of the direct light and the bathing in the Kedusha of HaKadosh Baruch Hu. So once again, Dovid HaMelech, again, this is a common thread and a theme that goes throughout TEHILLIM, that there's two types of people in the world. There's Yetzer HaRa niks and there's Yetzer Tov niks. There's people that just give in again and again and again and make that profound mistake of choosing the wrong thing. And there are those people that are conditioning themselves, even though it's hard. We know that it's hard to do the right thing. It's easy to do the wrong thing. Anyone that's ever been on a diet, they know this. It is hard to follow the diet plan. It is hard to cut out those foods that we love so much and stop eating them. It is hard to get on the treadmill 20 minutes to half an hour a day. It's hard. It's easy to not go on the treadmill. It's easy to lie on the couch. It is easy to continue eating all the foods that I desire and I look forward to eating without having to control myself. That's easy. So doing the wrong thing is always easy. Doing the right thing in general is always going to be hard. And Dovid HaMelech is saying, my enemies, they just live a life of doing the wrong thing, so they've taken the easy route in this world. But I, myself, and other tzaddikim, says Dovid HaMelech, and other people that are concerned about utilizing the koichos, the potential that is inside of them, yes, we'll have to buckle down and we'll have to make decisions in our life that are hard to do. And it's not easy to do. But therein will lie our reward and our greatness. Just like the person who will continue along the pathway of weighing their food and counting the calories and getting on the machine at 3, 4, 5 times a week, and they'll start taking the stairs instead of taking the elevators every time they have to travel, whatever. That person, 6 months, 1 year down the road, will be able to look back and say, wow, look how much I changed. Where on the other hand, the person that they started off the diet together with, who just after a few hours or a few days could no longer adhere to the decisions they had to make, they will look back after a year and they say, okay, I'm still in the same place. A little bit more, maybe, who knows, and they'll have to keep working on it. Making hard decisions that are the right decisions always pay off. Making the wrong decisions, which are easy to fall into, will only continually hurt a person and their life. Next verse, Tzidkasecha kaharei keel mishpatecha daim rabba. Your righteousness are like mighty mountains, or godly mountains, and your justice is taim rabba. It's like a great depth. or a great deep. Adam Hashem, man and animal, HaKadosh Baruch Hu, you will preserve. Says Rav Hirsch, going along the same ideas over here, and he's saying that this amunah, this faithfulness of HaKadosh Baruch Hu, is that a generation which continues to need training, and we all need training. It's like, it defies imagination how much HaKadosh Baruch Hu has done to the world in the last year. And we ask ourselves, have we learned the lesson that HaKadosh Baruch Hu, Elokim, is running the world? Pandemic wasn't enough, so he brought back spikes. Now you look around the world with this global warming, whether there is or there's not. Look, somebody told me there was a statistic that about 75% of all of America was covered in snow. Such a thing is possible. I don't know if such a thing is possible. Texas is buckling under the snow. Other places, they have snow and frigid cold weathers that they never had before. Blizzards, people can't go out on the streets, they can't get in their cars, losing power, losing water, all these things. Another patch from HaKadosh Baruch Hu. And now that I just saw today that there's some bird flu that ended up in human beings in Russia. Who knows what, God forbid, that's going to bring? Who knows? And HaKadosh Baruch Hu just keeps bringing, because He's trying to train us. And the training is that we're living in such a world right now that is the antithesis of Emunah. It's a world that is the antithesis of morality, the antithesis of bringing the Rebbeinu Shalom into our lives. Look how the world is kaichi v'otzim yadi. Everybody thinks my might makes right. I'm in charge of this, I built this, I did that, I did this, I made this money, I did that money, I'll call the shots. It's the Rebbeinu Shalom. HaKadosh Baruch Hu runs the world, and until we get this message drilled into our head, HaKadosh Baruch Hu is going to have to continue training us that we should recognize and we should see and we should understand what He wants. So if we want to be better than the vaccination, and we want to protect ourselves better than the masks, and we want to make sure that suddenly California doesn't end up in some blizzard of a snowstorm, and then if we really paralyzed, nobody will know what to do over here at all. So the way to push back the tides is the Shal Kodesh Baruch Hu. I understand Hashem. There's nothing else in the world besides you, HaKadosh Baruch Hu. You run the world, you're involved with the world, you're calling all the shots in this world. I understand that. And therefore, I understand that the pandemic and the magefa and the disease and the this and that and this and everything else, everything is coming from you, Hashem. And therefore, I'm going to try to live a life where I do the things that you want me to do, not the things that I want my silly Yetzer HaRa to convince me that I would like to do. And if a person will begin living that kind of a life, where we're doing the Ratzon Hashem, we're doing HaKadosh Baruch Hu's will, in the beautiful way, it's not so hard. It's not like Hashem is torturing us. HaKadosh Baruch Hu, every single mitzvah, when a person does it and they have to be Meiser Nefesh, they have to put hard work in there, it's empowering. It infuses us with new strength. The mitzvah, goyreres mitzvah. One mitzvah brings about another mitzvah. How does it bring about another mitzvah? You get excited. You do a mitzvah, you want to do more. You say a bracha, you eat kosher food, you keep a Shabbos, you're careful with your words of Lashon Hara, you do a chesed, you want to do more chasadim, more chasadim. And that's the world that we are trying to create for ourselves. And HaKadosh Baruch Hu, we have to recognize that Hashem is setting up the whole world in front of us in order that we should be able to do that and live that properly in the right way. So Rav Hirsch goes on and he writes that, again, this idea that the firm foundation to man's moral growth, it contains all the resources of conditioning its work, which means there's everything that we need to become great, everything that we need to grow, everything we need to become better than we are right now, it's all here in this world. Mishpatei Hashem, the judgments of HaKadosh Baruch Hu, with their sufferings which penetrate and upset the souls of those affected, it's a TEHILLIM Rabbi, it's a very great deep, meaning that if a person will end up focusing on the Mishpatei Hashem, the judgments of Hashem, and they don't understand that the judgments are intermingled with chesed, with Hashem's kindness. And HaKadosh Baruch Hu is not here to be harsh and to hurt us and to pain us. So then a person, again, if a person doesn't see it in the right way, then the Mishpatei Hashem, the judgments that HaKadosh Baruch Hu makes in this world, they will be debilitating to the person themselves, and it will make a person start to question and fall and become weaker in their connection to Hashem. But if once that a person realizes and recognizes there's chesed all around, and chesed is intertwined and interlaced with everything that Hashem does in this world, then I can look at the mishpatim, I can look at the judgments in this world as being a way that Hashem is coming to awaken me, to arouse me, to make me recognize and realize who Hashem is. Ein paranias bala olam ela bishvil Yisrael. Their suffering does not come to the world except for Klal Yisrael. Everything is to awaken us, to allow us to open our eyes and to see what it is that HaKadosh Baruch Hu truly and really wants from us. The next verse, we're running out of time over here. The next verse, how precious is your loving kindness, HaKadosh Baruch Hu, that you've showed as the God of judgment, and the and the children of men, they will find assurance in the shadow of your wings. What does this mean? Rav Hirsch writes over here that how valued and how significant and important is the welfare of mankind, is the love that HaKadosh Baruch Hu gives to Klal Yisrael, to the world in general, that Hashem is the judge of all deeds of mankind. The fact that Hashem is the one who's judging, He doesn't leave it to somebody else. Hashem is the one that is judging. That means that He can take all of the details into consideration. If a judge is sitting on the booth over there, and the judge is not able to see all of the details of a person's life, and they don't understand why it is that the person did what they did, so then that judge is going to come down with a harsh ruling, and the person could end up suffering greatly at the hands of the system of law. But HaKadosh Baruch Hu is the judge of all men, and He judges all deeds. And HaKadosh Baruch Hu knows what's going on in your life, and He knows where you're holding, He knows what you've been through, and He knows why if you did such and such a thing that was terrible. He knows everything that took place up until that point. And therefore HaKadosh Baruch Hu, when He judges a person, not that we're going to get off scot-free for what we did wrong, but Hashem is going to take all of the details of that person's life into account when He is making His judgment. And therefore, this loving kindness that we're talking about over here is something that HaKadosh Baruch Hu reveals to mankind, and it's something for us to keep in our minds as well, that with all of the mistakes that a person will make, that's why a person can never throw in the towel. They can never give up. Because if in fact we recognize that everything that's going on in our lives Hashem is aware of, and we know that HaKadosh Baruch Hu is benevolent and He's forgiving and He's kind and He's merciful, that means that even if I stumbled and even if I fell and even if I really made a terrible mistake in my life, I know that the Avarachaman, that the Father of all compassion and mercy, HaKadosh Baruch Hu, He's also the one that is judging me. And if He is the one that is judging me, then that means I have what to rely upon, that it's not going to be as harsh as I thought that it would be. And therefore, if the judgment is not harsh, and it's embracing, Hashem is actually going to embrace me instead of pushing me away, then I know that there's nothing that I've ever done that is impossible to be let back in to the eyes and the embrace of HaKadosh Baruch Hu. This is the Yesod, this is the foundation of tshuva, because when a person begins to believe that whatever they did is so wretched and has pushed them away from HaKadosh Baruch Hu so far, there's no way back, they will not be able to do tshuva. But when a person believes that no matter what it is that I've done in my life, HaKadosh Baruch Hu is the judge, and He is the one that is watching over, and He's the one that is taking everything into consideration. He knows my internal struggles, He knows what I've gone through, He knows where I've been, He knows what I've seen, what I've done, what I've been exposed to. HaKadosh Baruch Hu knows all of that. He knows why I even made the wrong choice and got myself into this mess in the first place. But now that I want to turn around, and now that I want to do tshuva and come back to HaKadosh Baruch Hu says, come back. The world is always open for you. My arms never closed. HaKadosh Baruch Hu is always there. Like it says, we learned in the parsha this week about the Kruvim. We learned about these angelic children sculptures that were there inside the Aron HaKodesh. They had faces, one of a boy, one of a girl. They had the wings that were going up. And Chazal teach us, when Klal Yisrael is doing Ritzayna Shel Makom, we're doing the will of Hashem, so they're facing each other. When they're not doing Ritzayna Shel Makom, we're not doing the will of Hashem, they're faced away from each other. And the Gemara says, what did the Kruvim look like at the time of the Chorban Abayis, the destruction of the Beis HaMikdash, when the Jewish people were running into exile? It says they opened up the Aron Kodesh to see, and they were shocked to find that HaKadosh Baruch Hu, they were hugging each other. HaKadosh Baruch Hu said, I'm not going to let go of you. I'm not going to leave you. I understand there were mistakes that the Jewish people made, and you have to go into Golus right now, into the exile. It's not going to be pretty. But you should know, says the Rebbe, I'm not letting go. And that's really what Dovid HaMelech is seemingly alluding to over here as well. There is a God of judgment, a God of justice, and the justice in this world is laced. It's intertwined with His compassion, with His mercy. And therefore, when Hashem is judging a person in their life, He's taking it all into consideration to make sure that He is not doing the wrong judgment. Rather, He's giving space and there's leeway. And therefore, the person should always know there's always a path back. There's always a way to elevate my power of bechira, of free will, not to have the Yetzer HaRa with all of his illusions and his paintings and his portraits and his wildness that he puts in front of my eyes. I don't have to worry about that because I made a mistake. Now I'm going to go down the path of righteousness, the way that is being charted out over here. So let's go. So Rav Gamliel Rabinovich writes over here on these words of Pasuk number 8, and he says, what is the great chesed that we were saying, the valuable chesed, the valuable kindness that you have done, Hashem? And he says, chesed gadol me'es Hashem Yisbarach, it's a tremendous chesed from Hashem, shemizake es ha'adam b'schus kedei lezu, that He has been mezaki, has given over, merited a tremendous merit to people, which is what? U'bnei adam b'tzel kanavecha yechazon. What is that schus? What is that merit? Shu yochol lachasais b'tzel kanavach, that we are able to dwell in the shadow of the wings of Hashem. Lios miyoshve beis hamidrash l'avdo, that we should be zeicha, we should merit to be the servants of Hashem. What's the greatest chesed that HaKadosh Baruch Hu do with a person, flesh and blood down here in this world? A person who sometimes will act much more as an animal than they will as a human being. A person who will end up making the worst mistakes in the world. What's the schus that we can have? The ultimate merit that we can have is that HaKadosh Baruch Hu is going to allow us to be under the kanfei hashchina, the wings of His glory, of His presence, which is we're going to be Ovdei Hashem. We'll have the merits and the abilities to be able to serve Hashem. And he says, Adam Hashem, when a person merits to be from those that can call themselves the servants of Hashem, we have the schus to serve Him. We merit His mitzvahs, to be in His countenance. Yada, you should know, Kizeo Chesed Gadol Meis HaKadosh Baruch Hu. This is a tremendous act of kindness that HaKadosh Baruch Hu does. How do we know that? Because, as he writes over here, Yesh la'adam tirdois rabbis umanios machmas ha'yetzer. A person has many things that trouble him and bother him, and he's totally preoccupied because of his Yetzer HaRa. And it just bothers us constantly. It doesn't leave us time to daven properly, to learn the right way, to do chesed the right way, to work on ourselves. That real emunah, the Yetzer HaRa is bothering us constantly, as we pointed out. In order to be saved from this evil source that is there inside of us, You need a tremendous amount of heavenly assistance. Like Chazal teach us, the Yetzer HaRa of a person strengthens itself every single day against you. Every day. Guess what? You thought you beat it yesterday, now you're home free. No, say Chazal. Tomorrow when you wake up, it's going to be renewed. Just like your neshama was renewed in the middle of the night when you were sleeping, the Yetzer HaRa is also freshened up and renewed. It went to the gym, it got some steroid shots over there, it's taking some special medicine, it's on an all-protein diet. That Yetzer HaRa is so powerful. Every single day it's mechadesh. It renews itself. How are we going to be saved? If every day is a battle, if it would not be for the fact that HaKadosh Baruch Hu helps us, we would never be able to overcome it. If you find yourself overcoming the Yetzer HaRa in your life, you find yourself serving the Rebbeinu Shalom, you find yourself making right decisions, even though it's challenging, but it's right over the wrong, you should know you have the greatest chus. Hashem is Oizer, He's helping you. You have to look for the help, you have to seek for the help, you have to ask HaKadosh Baruch Hu for the help. Ask for the help. You know those people that never ask for help? The guy's driving around in his car, it's my men mostly, he's driving around in his car, he doesn't have his GPS, his phone died, he doesn't have Waze, and he's lost, and his wife is saying, honey, I think you should just stop at the gas station. No, I'll find my way. They're driving another 20 minutes, I think you should stop at the gas station. No, I'll find my way. For 3 hours they're driving around and around and around and around. He finally stops at the gas station. Oh yes, right down the street over there, that building over there. You got to ask for help if you want help to find your way in this crazy world that we live in. So therefore, if HaKadosh Baruch Hu would help us, how's He going to help us? Got to ask. We have to ask the Rebbeinu Shalom, please help me, Hashem, through this situation. Please help me make the right decision. Please give me the strength to use what I have inside of me for that which is going to be finding favor in your eyes, HaKadosh Baruch Hu. Ask for His help. And if you ask for His help, He's going to help. He wants to help you. Why? He doesn't want to help. A father doesn't want to help his child. The coach doesn't want to help the person become a better ball player. The theater arts, the director doesn't want to make sure that his play looks the best. Of course, everybody wants the best. So HaKadosh Baruch Hu wants the best from us as well. And what is the best that He wants? He wants us to be able to make the right decisions in our life where we will overcome the inertia of doing what's easier. As we pointed out, it's always easier to make the wrong decision. And rather we'll be strengthen ourselves and we'll make the right decision. But we need help for that. We need Hashem's support. We need His prodding. We need His pushing in the right direction. And that says, Rav Gamliel Rabbanovich, that's a major schus, a tremendous opportunity that HaKadosh Baruch Hu has given us if only we will just live up and we will rise ourselves up to that challenge. Let's try to go a little bit further over here. I see that we're not yet by an hour, so let's try a little bit more. The pasuk says over here, I'm going to skip over here towards the end. And the pasuk says, Sham. It says, first of all, Al tevi'eni regel gaiva. Don't let the foot of pride overtake me. Don't become a bal gaiva, a haughty person. V'yad r'shoyim al tenideni, and do not let the hands of the rishoyim, don't let it cause me to waver. Basically over here, Dovid HaMelech is saying, with all of my growth, whatever I accomplish and everything, don't let me become a bal gaiva as a result of it. I want to remain humble. I need to remain humble, and don't let these rishoyim, don't let me get attracted to them and drawn after them and do their things. Just let me keep focused with you. But then he writes, Sham naflu payale oven, because it's Sham, it's over there, that the payale oven, that the workers of violence are going to come to fall. Doichu v'lo yachlu kum, they're going to be thrust down, and they will not be able to get up again. This is Yud Gimel, this is the last verse over here in the Tehillim. Now, what is it talking about over here? And that is, says the Rav Hirsch, that this abundance of fortune and power, which the Rishoyim seem to enjoy, and they seem to be very happy. Like he said, the guy's in his Ferrari, convertible, beautiful day, sunny day, everything going great, the music is blasting, blonde next to him, everything is amazing, he's got money in the bank, he's got power, he looks like he's happy. But you should know, that's actually the way to their downfall and their hopeless destruction. Because HaKadosh Baruch Hu is giving them everything in this world, And in the real world where it counts, in Olam Haba, in that world where all the judgments will come, this person will have nothing left. You drove your Ferrari in this world. You had the money in this world. You had luxuries, you had fun, excitement, you had everything going for you. Hashem has loaded you up with everything in this world, and in the world to come, whatever it is that a person has done wrong, it's all, the downfall is going to be waiting for them, and they will not have any pleasure, any enjoyment, any schus in the world to come. So don't be fooled by what you see in the world. Just because this person has more and they have better and it's greater and they look happier and more excited. Like I said, anything will look more exciting than a shul today. Anything in the world will look more exciting. Anything will look more exciting than what if somebody would walk into my shul for the last year and see me standing in front of a screen, looking at myself and talking to myself for an hour plus every single day. What kind of life is that? Go have a life, go have fun, go out to the beach, go have a good time. But there's nothing better. There's nothing better than learning and teaching and being able to spread. There's nothing better than that. So don't be fooled by what we see on the world. Now listen to the words over here of Rabinovich, and we'll end with this. Sham naflu pailei oven. Over there, the sinners, they will fall. They'll be pushed down. They will not be able to get back up. Says pailei oven, roimes the bali gaiva. It's referring to people that are bali gaiva. They are hardy people. V'nirmaz bezen, it's hinted to keep a Baal Gaiva, Baal Nefila, someone that is a Baal Gaiva, that is a hardy person, they are going to fall. Nefilasa hi ba'ofen zeh. And how are they going to fall? Doichu v'lo yachlu lakum. They're going to get pushed down, they will not be able to get back up. Shenidche v'noifel el yicholes tekuma menefilasai. They're going to get squashed down so much, they will not be able to get back up. Fine, go through history. The biggest Bali Gaiv in the world, the leaders of countries, of nations who tried to persecute others, where did they end up? They fell and they never got back up again. The people that are on the cover of People magazine or Inquirer, they're on top of the world. They got billions of dollars. They're making movies. They're making deals. They're on marriage number 17 and a half over here. Everything is... And then they fall, and you don't hear about them from years on end. They did a story years ago about where are they now in the sports stars of America, whether they were great sports stars, they were famous, they made millions of dollars, and then they disappeared after they left the business. Where were they? There was one guy, he went from being one of the most famous players on a football team. He was a construction worker, barely making enough money to survive and support his family. So the biggest people, they're going to have the hardest fall. But now listen what he writes over here. And he says like this. I want to explain more, he says. And he says like this. Hatzadik shu oived Hashem, someone who's a tzaddik and he serves Hashem. When he falls in his service of Hashem, everybody will fall. No one's going to be riding the bike and running the marathon constantly. Everyone's going to fall. However, even when they fall, they never despair. They fall, they made a mistake, they fall on the ground, that's true. But in the ruach, in the spirit of where they are, there, they never fall. However, every time that they fall, they get more dedicated to the cause. They become more of an action, more stubborn in what they're going to do for the sake of HaKadosh Baruch Hu. And they realize, I'm only falling temporarily. It's not forever. At the end of the day, I will be strong. I'll overcome the Yetzer HaRa. Every single righteous person from the time that the world was created, all of the ways of their ascent into righteousness, there were minios, there were things that got in the way that were trying to stop them, and there was such bilbul, there was such confusion. But at the end of the day, they kept persevering. They were achshanim, they were stubborn about it. They said, I want to serve HaKadosh Baruch Hu. At the end of the day, Hashem removes all the things that are in the way. He takes away all the convoluted ideas and things that are happening around them. And He's mayor, He enlightens their derech, their pathway, and He shows them where to go. However, the opposite is true of a foolish person. When he falls, he gives up. He falls and says, I can't do this. What am I going to do? This is so hard. I can't believe how difficult this is. Why, Hashem? Why are you doing this to me? It's so hard. And he begins to give up. And he crumbles under the pressure of the nisyonos. And this person then falls completely underneath the powers of the Yetzer HaRa. It's like the person who falls in the street, God forbid, and the car comes running over, the Yetzer HaRa just plows over the person. And he says, that's what it means over here. So many times a person wants to elevate themselves from their lowly state. They go up a little bit, and then they start falling again. And they begin to think, I fell again? Forget about it, I'll never get up. And therefore these people are going to fall completely from their madriga, from their level. Says Rav Gamliel Rabinovich, in the way that he's describing David HaMelech's words over here, is, you should know you have two choices in life. Everyone's going to confront challenges. Everybody, there's no way around it. But those challenges are the pathway to your godless. It's the pathway to your righteousness. It's how you're going to become the greatest person possible. And therefore, when you get in that situation, where you realize there's manias, there's things that are blocking you, there's there's wild things that are going on all around you, stay strong, be obstinate, tell HaKadosh Baruch, I'm coming to you, HaKadosh Baruch, I'm trying to get to you. Hashem says, oh, you're trying? You're asking for my help? HaKadosh Baruch Hu is going to help, is going to remove all the blockage that's in the way, and you're going to go straight through it, and you're going to grow. And therefore, even when we are neifel, we fall. We don't fall into oblivion, we don't give up hope, we don't start despairing, because we know that HaKadosh Baruch Hu is doing it for our good. The Rishayim, the wicked, the foolish people in this world, what do? They make the grave error. When they begin to fall, they say, how could you do this, Hashem? What's going to happen? How could he do it? The reason he did it is because he wants to make you great. You missed the boat, says HaKadosh Baruch Hu. You listened to the Yetzer HaRa instead of the Yetzer Tov, and you fell into his painting, his picture that he's painting of you, of the world of despair, of damage, of tomb, of all the things. And then the person can never get back up, and then they're ruined. Says David HaMelech, I went through a lot. I had challenges day and night all around me. And there were many, many times I could have just thrown in the towel and said, you know what, it's not worth it. I just can't get over this. But I realized everything that Hashem put in my way was another step to make me make a difficult decision to do the right thing. And that's how I grow. So Be'ez Hashem, as we continue to grow through our Tehillim, and we grow through the challenges that HaKadosh Baruch has presented us in this world for the last year of our lives, in Yetzer Hashem, we will continue to use those opportunities as the stepping stones to achieve the top of the mountain in our greatness. Have a wonderful day and a wonderful week. We'll see you next week for Tehillim Lamed Zayin 37 Be'ez Hashem.
Thank you, Rabbi.
You're welcome.
Thank you, Rabbi.
You're welcome. You're welcome.